Welcome everyone in this live development video about building an auto battle game. In this video, we're going to fix an issue regarding our unit's AI. It's an issue performance-wise, and you're going to understand right away why we have to fix that issue before moving on. So I realized we have, first I'm just gonna hide that huge else profile. I don't want that actually. This is gonna be collapsed. It's a huge problem. It's a huge performance issue that we're having. FPS drop when we're in the combat mode, and I thought it was coming from the ability system we were creating, but it's actually coming from the AI system. So you can see it's hard lagging every 1 second, so that's pretty accurate. So in order to understand where that lags comes from, so I've already investigated, but I'm going to show you how I investigated that issue. So I actually recorded the performance. So let's add a bunch of units. We have to take care of that issue because it's going to prevent us from. I thought it was the ability system, like I was saying, and we can't afford to think that what we're doing right now is not working for some reason. So stat start file is going to start recording our play session. So we can hit play. It's starting. We are having our huge spikes. We can stop recording now. And now we can open up that we can open up that record we've just done in this is it the session front end. I think that's it. In the profiler here, we want to load, and it's supposed to bring you exactly where you want to be. This is the previous record I've done. This is the new one. So we can see we are having hard spikes on the right, so this is the beginning of our session. This is the end of our session. So in here, we are having hard spikes, and we want to see where the game thread. So I know we can guess that the lag comes from the code since we don't have any graphism on the game. So we're looking at game thread because this is the CPU, this is the calculations. How much it costs to render a frame. We want to investigate that. Behavior tree components, overall hold time, tick, execution time, BTT, find closest target. So the lag comes from here. 99% of the lag comes from here. So we want to open up that. I don't even know if we can open that up from here. From the function BTT, find closest target. We can keep expanding that. Get opponent player. Oh, that's interesting. That's actually quite interesting. Get player alive units. Yeah. Get opponent player. Okay, so I can know where this comes from. So we can, I had that open, but we're going to redo the logic here. So we don't care about all of that graphical stuff for now. So we want to open the behavior tree, BT units, and we want to add over our culprit here, find closest targets, calculate AI target. So I thought at first it was the cast here, but it's not even that, even if that's really poor design. The issue comes from here, so we can go in here. This is likely costing mana. This might be costing mana as well, but we're gonna see what we do here. Get opponent player. Okay, we're doing quite a lot of stuff here. So I think the first thing we shall be doing is storing the opponent player once, and not be looking for it each time we need that. So I think we can just build. We have something called battling player. We're going to duplicate that. This is going to be opponent players. This is going to be a map of string, and we're going to store each opponent in here. And when are we going to store that? When we match player with each other. Matchmaking, match players. Matched player, player to match, blah, blah, blah. Find battlefield. So in here, we have all the information we need. So we need to be resetting that. Yeah, we're going to store this information before resetting anything. So we need our opponent players here. So we have the battlefields. Yeah, we have everything we need. So we want to add 2 entries here. The opponent of, no, we don't want that. The opponent of the matched player is going to be the opponent, and the matched player is going to be it. And are we using get opponent player? Yeah, many places, but I think, are we using it anywhere before find battlefield? I really don't think so. I really don't think so. So I think it's going to be good. And we can go here and replace our logic by that. We're going to find in here, and we're just going to return. And it's going to be like 100 more, 100 times more efficient. What else? Oh, but only the server has access to that information, because only the server is actually matching the player with each other. So we cannot really do that. We can't store that information here. Current matchmaking, store fights on hosts. We're looping through everything here. So everyone is doing this. So I think we can be doing this here. So for each match, I'm wondering, what are we receiving exactly? In what form, I mean? This guy is fighting there. So we want to know the X. Whoops. Yeah, nothing to worry about. So we want to compare the X of everyone in here. I mean, when we start a match, this guy is fighting at 0. I think we just need a temporary variable here, which is going to be a map. Used battlefield. It's going to be a map of integer and string. At first, we want to see if we've already encountered a player in that battlefield. If not, we're going to add that player. If not, we're going to add that player here. That player is in that battlefield. And if we've already encountered a player in this battlefield, we're just going to say that is that the key? It's the value. This is the key. So this player is the enemy of that one. and that one is the enemy of that one. So I think this does the trick here. We just need to reset that when we reset the phase, the combat phase. On battle ended and combat phase. That's interesting. Strange that we're doing this here instead of the combat, the end of the combat phase, but it doesn't really matter for now. So we want to clear the opponent player. So we're using that. Do we already notice a strong? Oh, we're dumb. I'm dumb. I said that we needed the client to have that information, but actually the client never fires that function. So, oh yeah, but yeah, I'm dumb. The client needs to know the opponent. It doesn't. So the lag is clearly inferior, and we're gonna record just to be sure. So the client needs to have that information. For a second, I thought that we wouldn't have needed to broadcast that information to the client because get opponent player is used within the AI, and the AI only runs on server, so only the server needs to be aware of that. But get opponent player is a function that we're going to be using over and over for other reason. So we want to know, we want to make that. So stat start file. Let's go. So I don't know if you remember the huge spikes, but it's clearly less spiky. I closed the session front end. We're just gonna open the previous one real quick. So how much we spiked at 64 milliseconds. Oh, not we spiked that hard as before. But are we gonna find the same function in the end? Calculate AI target, get alive. Oh, get opponent player. That's still a hell of a lot. Find. Okay, looking at a map costs money. That's interesting. I thought that will be. So I guess the easiest way will be to store that in the player state. Current opponent. But we will be, I think, yeah, strings are pretty bad. That's pretty bad. All these strings, I should have used name. Yeah, if we just turn that into name, oh yeah, won't like it. Oh, but we don't care. If we change that into a map of name, you'll see the difference right away. Maybe this is costly. Maybe this costs some money. The conversion. So that guy is the enemy of that guy, and that guy is the enemy of that guy. So I think this should all already reduce the, but we should really not identify player through their name, rather their ID. So we're going to start recording. Arrow up to bring the previous commands. We can see the lags here. We're going to stop right away. Quit. Session front end. Load. We want the last one. Where do we have our spikes? Right there. Right there. Okay, so that's still not really not good. So I think we'll need to do something about it, but there's something else here. Get a live player unit. I'm thinking that, but I'm having a doubt. But I'm thinking that this here is where is really costly, and I think we need to have some kind of array which keeps track of all units that are dead or alive, and not loop through all units whenever we need to be doing this. But I think we should be updating all of the logic which identifies player using string, because we're gonna have to have a reference to all of their units, and we're gonna need to have the same kind of. We need to keep track of who is the opponent of a player, and we also need to keep track of what unit a player has. So we're gonna use, if we follow the same logic that we used so far, we're going to have maps for that. And you could see using the session front end that maps are costly, are expensive. So we wanna replace the logic in here to always in the in-game state, which stores information about player, to make it so we store the information in the player state instead. So we, instead of reading maps to find information, we're just gonna read a reference to the player state and read information here. It's gonna be way less expensive, I think. So just for this, I'm thinking in the same time. So I think we're just gonna create a bunch of variables here, just so we clearly realize what it means. What we're going to do. For example, we're going to have live units. There are going to be a bunch of combat units. We're going to have an opponent. The Yeah, we're also going to have our current battlefield, and also it's gonna be current opponent, and of course this is gonna be. So I was gonna say this is, of course this is gonna be a string because we identified player as a string so far, but I think we don't want that. We're gonna I was gonna say we're gonna identify player using player states, but it might be an issue if someone disconnects. Uh, but it doesn't matter for now. I mean, it doesn't matter for now. But if we have to update that logic later, it's going to be an issue. We'll deal with that later. It can be a flow of our system. This is going to be a single variable. So current opponent, current battlefield, this is going to be a vector 2D, or is it? It can also be a direct reference to the battlefield, I guess. Single reference. Maybe it's going to have current fight zone. Like this. And we can retrieve all of these information in the in-game state when we match player with each other, when we actually receive that information. Store fight zone host in here where we actually stored all of this. We actually have all of the information we just created in the player state. But I think that video was long enough. So I hope you enjoyed it. And even if we didn't progress, we learned how to debug and we're on the track of fixing our performance issue. So hope you guys enjoyed it and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.